Thank you, Adam. Our next speaker is Ido Naor, CEO of Security Joes. Ido started his way as a red teamer, reported vulnerabilities to Google, Facebook, and others. Continue working on malware analysis and incident response in the well-known global researchers and analyst team of Kaspersky. He opened Security Joes just a couple years ago. Give him a big warm. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Shalat. So I'm going to discuss some different angles today after the great Adam and CrowdStrike and products and AI and so on. I'm going to face some other aspect, which is the services aspect. And so, I learned incident response from home. I was actually the incident while my parents was the incident response. And so I grew up in a place where a lot of challenges are being solved. And as that person who saw, challenges being solved one after the other as being the problem, I really want to become the one who actually solves the challenges. And I want to take you into my experience specifically in cybersecurity and how we provide solutions for specific challenges. And maybe if you take this approach, if you look at how we look at things in incident response, maybe you can also find solutions on your place, on your workplace, and on your challenges. So before we dive into services, I want to pop up the obvious question. Does AI make services obsolete? And I have the solution, but maybe you can agree. We still don't have this 100% protection. We still don't have the absolute certainty that our problems are over. And the cyber is something, or the cybersecurity and protecting organization, this is a cat and mouse game, right? And so when technology is becoming more and more advanced, we as the services, or we are the humans, we need to progress as well. And so we make ourselves better. And I'm very confident about that aspect. But I had to go ahead and check with the AI, and it agreed with me that we are not obsolete. So where did I start? To be honest, I started with being a red teamer, and from there to vulnerability research and malware analysis and so on. But the incident response side started when I was a freelance. And I got to tell you that this is a magnificent place to be an incident responder as a freelancer. However, it has its disadvantages. I was talking about incident response with my parents, and they were the team for me, and my mom used to take me to the hospital a lot. And I saw over there something that immediately captured me. All of those people there, they have purpose. And this is something that is very hard to find when you're as a freelance conducting reactive incident response. You're basically meeting organizations after organizations, team after team, a week after a week, and you cannot connect to anyone because you don't have the team, you don't have the hierarchy, you don't have the logo behind you, you don't have the strategy, and then you're missing a lot. So I was thinking whether I'm bringing the value that I want to bring, whether we are creating what we are actually wanting to create. Do we sit side by side with technology? And the answer was no. And so we tried to find more stuff, and we also opened our ears to listen to what our clients need. And what they needed was a team, a full-fledged team of 24/7 that can actually help them, that can actually safeguard. They can play on the security products like it was a violin on a violinist. And so I went into those organizations one after the other with the team that I was able to assemble back in the days, and I saw three very obvious teams that we can list down. One of them was the Security Operations Center, obviously, with the entry-level teams. The other ones, there's the MDR, depending on the EDR service that you take along with your product. And the third one was the IR, where I was coming from. And we saw that there are some specific gaps in between. a lot of risks. And if I want something to give you that you will take with you from that talk, is the fact that communication is key. And without it, it will be very hard to make a holistic approach out of your organization's security. And let's talk about these gaps. And I remind you, we're talking not about the components themselves. There is nothing wrong with the Security Operations Center and the MDR and the IR. Those are magnificent. We created them in a very good way. The problems are in between. So let's dive in. You know, the Security Operations Center, as I said, the problem is that they are not responsible for the incident. They, in majority of times, and I know there are Security Operations Center analysts here in the audience, and we know that you are very much respected and professional, but the majority are entry level. Connecting to the MDR, we know that they are also not responsible for incidents. They are complementary of their product, again, in majority of the cases. The problem is that they don't do routine monitoring, and they don't monitor all the organization. They are complementary to their product. And the incident response is, in majority of the cases, as I was as a freelance, reactive. In majority of the cases, the Chief of Information Security Officer either talked to the insurance company, which might have instructed the IR to operate this way or another, or there is an incident response team that you haven't met and they need to learn everything. They need to educate themselves, and you pay a lot just in the first few days to actually understand how to work with these guys, sometimes remotely, sometimes on site. You have to pay for everything that they do, the flights, the accommodation, and so on. Let's take a few examples just to understand what I'm talking about. And we need the slides to work, or slides is not working. Can I get help?
Try this one instead.
Okay. Oh. It's supposed to be like this. So one of the problems I was talking about was the reactive IR. The fact that the SOC is getting a security alert, and then right after, they need to approach the stakeholders, or they need to approach security team and so on, and they will call an incident response team, which they maybe heard of, maybe they know them, but for sure the incident response, in majority of cases, don't know what's going on inside the organization. And maybe it's me. I'm the problem? And some solution for that area, for this challenge, is the proactive incident response. The fact that the incident response will be there all the time. So you have to nurture your own incident response, whether they are part of the organization or they are an external entity that you provide to, and they will be part of your ongoing security posture. The second challenge is that the fact that the MDR team are complementary to their product. And with that problem, sometimes there are no security alerts, so basically they don't react. But if it's quiet, does it mean that it's secure? Well, if you look at our last release, just from yesterday, we released a paper about a new process injection technique called Mockingjay. You just need to look over Google, and you will see that sometimes attackers or offensive teams that simulate attacks can go past those products without them even noticing. And if you don't see the alert, then what you do? In that case, you need to have a team of experts all the time around you. You need to make sure that the Security Operations Center is in contact with the MDR, so they will understand exactly what alerts are being triggered. And if they don't, then the MDR need to conduct threat hunting. So they will create the work for the Security Operations Center to keep the circle working. But sometimes, you know, people take vacations, and then they are not at home, they are not in the office, or they work remotely, and you don't really have the control over the alerts. What do you do in that case? So in that case, we built the 24/7, right? I was talking about the 24/7 and how, you know, as a freelancer, I used to work at night a lot. And it's tedious, it's hard, regardless of which country you are, which culture you are. At the end of the day, you want to sit for a dinner with your family in Friday night, right? Something I haven't done for years. And so The solution for that is not only 24/7, is also to follow the sun. Is also to have the approach of a team that is working in their daytime, so they will have, the ability and the maximum capability to prevent the attack. Now, we see all those problems, and it struck me that there are a lot of other problems. And then I got into a challenge, just like my parents with me being a kid. Oh my God, he's not that, and not that, and not that. Now what we do? Can we sell him online? It was back in the days there was no selling kids online. Can we traffic him somewhere? So what they did, they said, let's focus on little things. Let's solve only 3 things. Maybe he will be somewhere, sometime. I'm not sure I'm there. Maybe I'm on the way. You can ask them. They're here, by the way. Hi, Mom, Dad. Thank you for coming. So, yeah, you can give a round of applause. It's I can also tell you I've been like in Black Hat Las Vegas and in Code Blue Tokyo and Zero Nights, talking about 0 days in IoT systems, hacking fuel systems remotely. But I think, at some point, you really have to have your loved ones come and see you and comprehend what you're doing. My kids helped me with the stand that we put 2 days ago. I think it's part of the overall approach. So I was focusing on 3 little things. One was to minimize the fact that there would be an incident in my approach, in my proactive approach. The second one was to make sure that the organization is prepared. I know everyone was talking about it. I know it's a word that everyone uses, but it's just as an approach. I'm not selling anything. I can sell you later, but now it's not the... And then speed up the recovery. So those 3 little things. And with that, I was looking at the organization from an incident response perspective. How can I tackle cyber threats from an incident response perspective? Looking at the CISO, stakeholders, and so on in the middle, and all of the things around them, all of the security posture. And so the first thing that I wanted to get into was, on one hand, the fact that I need to collect information about this organization. So if you want to have this approach, either you have an external team or internal team, you have to have everyone on board, so you will have a very strict incident response protocols and all the procedures in line so you can exercise those procedures. On the other hand, with all the GRC, you can say, or all the paperwork, you have to have also the technical part. And the technical part, if you can, the latest things are compromise assessment and external attack surface, checking if you have dormant malware or dormant attackers, and if credentials leaked online and so on. But there are other things that you can do to proactively protect your organization. So both things, very important. The other things that we need to make sure is the Security Operations Center from the incident response side is always on. You can always nurture them. You can always give them more and more, educate them, so they can streamline the communication throughout the organization. If there is a user that you need to connect, if there is a problem that you need to approach, you cannot approach it as an incident response because it's not an incident yet. But the Security Operations Center, that's what they do best. From the MDR side, always keep them proactive. Always make sure that they are doing threat hunting, that they find the attackers that attack your organization. It's important because attackers, they have motivation. Let's look at the supply chain of 3CX, right? The VoIP company. It was a major supply chain. Did Lazarus from North Korea wanted to do a supply chain on this company? No. They wanted Bitcoin. It's a financially motivated threat actor sponsored by North Korea. So why did they hack into this company? They didn't. It was an employee that downloaded an upgrade for an E-Trade. So this E-Trade, the Bitcoin E-Trade, that was actually what started the supply chain, which started another supply chain inside this VoIP company. So as I get to the finish of my talk, to the end of my talk, I just want to say that the holistic approach of looking at all the angles, all the services around, and create a strong security posture is what I wanted you to walk out from here. If you have everyone on board, you can tackle cyber threats in the best way possible. So Three takeaways from this talk. One, first of all, if you have a goal, if you have a challenge, you need to reverse engineer your goals. As I showed you, I had a brainstorm, I focused on three little things, and from there we created an approach. The second thing is when you have a cyber threat, the holistic approach is always good on the services side. It will keep everyone on board, keep everyone aligned, and then you can exercise and then also tackle the cybersecurity threats when they come. And the third one, always think in the mindset of proactive instead of reactive. Thank you very, very much.